Welcome to another RSR. Tonight we are recapping round 1 and predicting the round of 16 of the 2025 CONCACAF Champions Cup. Reacción de la primera ronda y predicción de la octavos de final de la Concachampions de la CONCACAF. We are done with round 1. We move on to the round of 16 tomorrow. It's going to be a crazy round, but we had a crazy round 1. And my predictions were pretty on the money, except for one thing. But it shouldn't be shocking, but I guess it is. With that being said, let's start part 1 of round 1. Round 1, number 3, CF Monterrey 5, Forge FC 0. CF Monterrey 5, Forge FC 0. I was right about this one. I had Monterrey going through. Even though I wanted Forge to win, I knew damn well Forge was not going to win this tie. And this is probably their worst CONCACAF tie in their club's history. Especially Champions Cup. They at least scored goals against Cruz Azul and Chivas. They did not score a goal against Monterrey. They played on an ice sheet pretty much at home at Tim Hortons Field. They got owned at BBVA, which is a very hard stadium to play at. This went about how you would expect this one to go without Forge really having any fight to show, which is sad because I thought they would. But in the end, Monterrey did their job. They've been somewhat struggling up to that point and after in Liga MX, but Forge couldn't capitalize. I was right, 1-0 on my predictions. Round 1, part 1, and fully. Round 1, 7. CF Cruz Azul 7. Real Hope FA 0. CF Cruz Azul 7. Real Hope FA 0. Cruz Azul struggled on the road. At home, pretty much what you would expect from Cruz Azul. 5-0. Pretty much what you would expect. They absolutely ripped them to shreds at home. On the road, of course, they struggled, but I said Cruz Azul would go through, even though they had all the movement, losing Anselmi. They've actually been very strong since he's left, though, weirdly enough. And this team is starting to believe in themselves again. So we'll talk about that later, but Real Hope, they were the worst team in the tournament by level, and they certainly looked like it. Round 1, 6, Chivas 4, Cibao FC 1. Chivas 4, Cibao 1. Cibao led for 90 minutes at home against Chivas. Chivas scores late, gets the away goal, wins 3-0. At home at Akron. About what you would expect even if they suck this year. But so they move on around before they get shadow-realmed by America with the way they've been playing. But I was right about this one. I said Chivas wasn't even bad enough to lose to Cibao. They still didn't lose to Cibao. I was right. 3-0 on my predictions. 3 for 3. There you go. Round 1, number 9, Tigres, UANL 3, Real Esteli FC 1, Tigres 3, Real Esteli 1. Real Esteli beat Tigres at home, at Esteli, 1-0, as they normally do, because they don't lose at home. It's the craziest thing. They don't lose at home. Very hard to beat Esteli at Esteli. It's very hard to do. But Tigres took it back to El Volcan. They won 3-1. Or 3-1 on aggregate, 3-0 on the night, as you would expect. Tigres have been struggling. They look like they're washed up. Father Time has come for them. But in the end, they still advance. 4 for 4, 4-0 on my predictions. Round 1, 5, Pumas Unam 3, Calvary FC 2. Pumas Unam 3, Calvary 2. Calvary were the first ever CPL team to beat a Liga MX team in one game with the 2-0 win, or 2-1 win, I should say, the 2-1 win at Starlight Stadium in Langford, British Columbia. They got the win. They came back to score 2 goals and won the match. And they deserve to. And frankly, I think they deserve to win this tie. Pumas got lucky that they ended up turning this around. With the red card, with the goals that they scored. Lema saved his job, at least for a couple of weeks that night. Didn't save it for the rest of the season, but I bet Pumas fans wish he lost just so he would have got fired like 3 weeks earlier. But no. Pumas advanced by the skin of their teeth. I said they would, even though I really wanted the upset when it looked like it was about to happen. 5 for 5, 5-0 on my predictions. Round 1, part 1 was a straight up 5-0, 5 for 5. Amazing part on predictions. Let's move to round 1, part 2. Round 1, number 2. Inter Miami CF 4, Sporting KC 1. Inter Miami CF 4, Sporting Kansas City 1. I was right. I said Miami would win. I thought Kansas City, by the time they got Jovic, was a one-man team. But I thought they were crap before then, and still, they were only a one-man team. They lost. They got what they deserved playing Miami. They got what they deserved. They lost to Miami. You would expect that. Messi with 2 goals over 2 legs. 3-0. 3-1, I should say. 3-1 at home in Miami. A deflection leads to Sporting Kansas City scoring, but they didn't get closer than that, really. They had their moments in the first half of the second leg, but still was pretty sloppy, though. But Miami did their job. There you go. So, 6-0 on my predictions. 1-0 part 2. 6 for 6. 1 for 1 in part 2. Round 1, 1. LAFC 2. Colorado Rapids 2. LAFC wins on away goals. LAFC 2. Colorado Rapids 2. Goals visitar para LAFC. LAFC loses 2-1 in Colorado. And Colorado deserved to win that game. Sadly, if they got the clean sheet, they would have advanced. LAFC don't look so pretty right now, I gotta say. They don't look so pretty. LAFC don't look so pretty right now. The best they've done is score a goal per game when it comes to this season. Colorado, they look solid, but in the end, all LAFC had to do was score 1 goal to advance at home, and they did, thanks to Aaron Long. They still only have scored 1 goal per game, but they advanced by the skin of their teeth. But I was right about LAFC advancing, but just not the way they did. But it doesn't matter. My prediction was right. That'd be 7-0 on my predictions. 2 for 2, part 2. 7 for 7, full round 1. Round 1, number 10. FC Cincinnati, 5. FC Motagua, 2. FC Cincinnati, 5. FC Motagua, 2. I was wrong about this one. I thought Motagua would upset Cincinnati. But what I didn't know is that Cincinnati plays so much more free and they play so much better without Luciano Acosta, with Evander, with Bucha, with Denke. The team they have now feels so much more free. They play so much more free. They play like they are the team that they end up being. They have done their job. They're actually doing their job instead of playing football where they're good enough, but they look fraudulent. This Cincinnati team looks like they're for real. I expect them to stay their fraudulent selves. Turns out Luciano Acosta was pretty much the midpoint of the fraudulence. He thought he was bigger than the club. He made them frauds. Turns out he's a head case. Turns out he's a diva. And that's why they were frauds. Yeah, Dallas, I think y'all made a mistake. But either way, I was wrong about this one. The first wrong prediction I had, which makes me 7-1. 7 out of 8. 7 for 8 on my predictions. Damn it. And 2 for 3 on my part 2 predictions. 2-1 on my part 2 predictions. Round 1, 11. Real Salt Lake 1. CS Herediano 2. Real Salt Lake 1. CS Herediano 2. I told you Salt Lake weren't going to win. I told you they were bad. I told you they were going to lose to Herediano. They did. 0-0 draw in Herediano. Herediano scores 2 goals, but they have the away goal. Doesn't matter. They get a penalty right at the end of the game. They score the penalty. 1-2. Herediano moves on to the round of 16. RSL choked horribly at home, but Herediano advances like I expected. I was right about this one. 8-9 on my round 1 predictions. 8 for 9, 8-1, and 3-1 on my part 2 predictions. 3 for 4 on my part 2 predictions. Round 1, 8. Seattle Sounders FC 6, Antigua GFC 2. Seattle Sounders FC 6. Antigua GFC 2. I was right about this one. I thought Antigua would put up more of a fight than they did. They didn't. Seattle, they're not great. They have flaws, but they did their job against a team who were lower than them and did it pretty convincingly. When they play even competition so far, they drew 2-2 to Charlotte. So, are they a perfect team? No. Are Seattle a contender? I'm not sure. They did their job, but I was right about them advancing, which means 9-1 on my round 1 predictions. 9 out of 10 on my round 1 predictions. Part 2, 4-1, 4 out of 5 on round 1, part 2. And finally, round 1, 4, Vancouver Whitecaps FC 3, Saprissa 2. I was right about this one. Vancouver Whitecaps FC 3, Saprissa 2. I was right about this one. I had the Vancouver Whitecaps winning the tie. Sort of expected something like this to happen. They lost in Saprissa 2-1, but they had the away goals. But Brian White scores 2 goals to win the tie 3-2, as you would expect because he's such a good goal scorer, Brian White. 3-2. 3-2. Ryan Gould with a goal for Vancouver in Saprissa. But it's what you'd expect. Vancouver did their job. Was it the greatest? No. Did they look fraudulent? At times. Did Saprissa make this a war? Yes. Did they end up making it through? No. I was right about this tie, which means I was 10-1 on my round 1 predictions. 10 for 11. Part 2, I was 5 for 6, 5-1. So 1 prediction wrong, the Cincinnati game, because I thought they were still frauds. That's not bad, though. I have to say, that's a pretty good round 1. The one upset one of the 2 upsets I thought would happen didn't. And Vancouver damn near choked it, and Pumas damn near choked it. But in the end, only 1 prediction wrong. But let's move on to predicting the round of 16. Round of 16-1, Columbus Crew versus LAFC. Columbus Crew contra LAFC. I got the Columbus Crew winning. 1, because I still have them winning on my full bracket. I have to put them through. Second of all, at least they've scored multiple goals. They've scored 4 goals in 1 game. Yeah, Chicago gave them a couple, but they scored 4 goals in 1 game. They're still threatening at forward play. With Jason Russell-Rowe, with Diego Rossi, they are still threatening forward-wise. Their defense may be worse, but LAFC has only scored 1 goal per game. Every game they've played, the first leg against Colorado, 2-1 loss, 1 goal for LAFC. The 1-0 win over Minnesota. Columbus is definitely better than them. Colorado's probably better than them too. 1-0 LAFC. 1-0 LAFC over Colorado. Now you say, what about the 2-1 win over America in the preseason? LAFC, that was their best game so far. That was like a one-night thing so far. LAFC have looked very, very shaky. Their forward play looks non-existent. They are not balling out all guns blazing. And they started all guns blazing every single year. Even under Bob Bradley, Bobby Bacala, right? But especially Sharundalo. They started all guns blazing. So this is weird for LAFC in general. But even under Sharundalo, this is weird. This is weird for them to start very slow. And Girault is a flop. Let's just be real. He's a flop. They got rid of Oliveira, which I think he was better than Bogusz. I think they had to keep one of them, and they got rid of both. I think that hurt them. They need Griezmann. He won't be here yet. I think Columbus does enough to advance. Columbus moves on to the quarterfinals to play the winner of this tie. Round of 16-2, Cavalier FC versus Inter Miami CF. Cavalier FC contra Inter Miami. Miami wins. I hate to say it, Messi's going to Jamaica. They moved the game to Independence Park, and that stadium sold out. Love to see it. We'll see how that looks for the second leg. Because the first leg's in Miami, of course, because Cavalier has the bye, or the second leg hosting, because they were with the bye, because they won the Caribbean Cup. So weirdly enough, Miami hosts the first leg. I know it looks a bit weird. Just like Alajuelense hosts Pumas for the second leg because of they had the bye. Columbus, of course, hosts LAFC for the second leg, but that's not too weird. They made the final last year. LA Galaxy hosts Herediano the second leg. That looks right. And America hosts Chivas for the second leg. That looks right. But the Central American Caribbean hosting the second leg don't look right, especially with who they're playing. But Miami, doesn't matter. The tie will probably be over by the time they get to Jamaica. Miami wins on a romp. They should not screw this up. They should not screw this up. Round of 16-3. We got CF Monterrey versus Vancouver Whitecaps FC. CF Monterrey contra Vancouver Whitecaps FC. I know Rayados have been struggling recently, but Vancouver's Vancouver. And they were struggling too. I think Monterrey gets the better of them at BBVA. And I think that's what matters. I think that's what matters. I think that's how Vancouver loses. Will be Monterrey gets the better of them at BBVA, and Vancouver won't get enough away goals to flip the tie, or get enough goals at home with maybe an away goal to flip the tie. Rayados advances, Monterrey advances. Round of 16-4, we got LD Alajuelense versus Pumas Unam. LD Alajuelense contra Pumas Unam. If they kept Lema, I'd say Alajuelense. They fired him, rightfully so. I think Pumas are a team good on paper, and they still beat Calvary, but I think Alajuelense is slightly better than Calvary, so it only took about a slight push to push Pumas through. But Lema got fired, so Pumas will advance. Will it be tight? Probably. Will they probably go into Alajuelense where it's still, the tie is still alive? Yes. For Alajuelense? Yes. But I think Pumas gets it done. They move on. Round of 16-5. Club America versus Chivas. Club America contra Chivas. Chivas are getting shadow round by America. I don't have to say much more than that. They're getting shadow round. All three matches, because of course they have a Liga MX match in between both legs. One we won't cover because Toronto's playing the same day. But they're getting shadow round. Probably 3-0 by America at least. All three matches. Chivas are horrible right now. They just lost to frickin' Atletico San Luis. Bottom of the table, 4 points, mind you. They're getting shadow round. They're horrible. They're going to get absolutely destroyed over 3 games by America, but especially 2. But I think all 3 of them. It doesn't matter that one's in the league and they're playing 3 games in a row. They're getting destroyed. Probably, 10-0 on aggregate? Add 13-0 with a league game? Yeah, no, they're getting destroyed. Club America advances. Shadow Realms Chivas. Round of 16-6. CF Cruz Azul versus Seattle Sounders FC. CF Cruz Azul contra Seattle Sounders. I got Cruz Azul winning. Why? Because Cruz Azul are actually being very consistent now since Anselmi has left. They have only lost 1 game in their last 8. Of course, a lot of them have been 1-0 wins. But that shows you how stingy the defense is. Seattle, when they played competition equal to them, or better than them, but equal, was a 2-2 draw to Charlotte. And you could say, but that was just because East versus West, interconference matchup, they're always draws. You know this, Ryan. Yeah, but Cruz Azul is better than Charlotte. It's a 2-legged tie. I think Cruz Azul will just get by the skin of their teeth at the very least. Maybe a little bit better, but Cruz Azul advances. That's all that matters. Round of 16-7. Tigres UANL versus FC Cincinnati. Tigres contra Cincinnati. Cincinnati's going to stomp out Tigres. Tigres are washed up. Father Time has finally called their name. Finally. And it's looked like that for a couple of years, but this is the worst. Cincinnati are on fire right now. Again, Cincinnati handled Motagua to a point, and they handled Red Bulls to a point where I do believe they are this good. They are this good. And Luciano Acosta was the problem. And Tigres are washed up. I think Cincinnati's going to win 4-2 on aggregate. It's not even going to be a question. But it's going to be that tap where it doesn't even seem like a question. Cincinnati advances. Round of 16-8, LA Galaxy versus CS Herediano. LA Galaxy contra CS Herediano. LA Galaxy wins. Yes, they have lost Ricky Puig. We don't know if Paintsel will be back during this tie. They still have Christian Ramirez and Gabriel Peck. That should be enough to beat Herediano. I know Herediano ties are crazy. I know some crazy stuff happens when they show up. But I think LA Galaxy is too damn good to go down to Herediano like Toluca or RSL did. LA Galaxy wins. Is it closer than we expect? Probably, but LA Galaxy wins, which means our quarterfinals will end up being Columbus Crew versus Inter Miami, Columbus Crew contra Inter Miami, CF Monterrey contra Pumas Unam, Rados versus Pumas, Club America versus Cruz Azul, Club America contra Cruz Azul, FC Cincinnati versus LA Galaxy, FC Cincinnati contra LA Galaxy. Those are our quarterfinals. 2 MLS versus MLS quarters, 2 Mexico versus Mexico quarters, if my predictions are right. I think that sounds about right. I don't think that's a bad call. Should be interesting, though. Those quarterfinals will be in April. The start of April. So we'll have the semifinals at the end of April and May, and then we'll have the final June 1st. It'll be over before you know it, is all I'm saying. With that being said, there you go. I will see you tomorrow for CONCACAF Champions Cup coverage. I think it'll just be LAFC Columbus. Multiple reasons, but that's the one that matters the most on Tuesday. Wednesday, we'll have 2 lives, 1 review, and then Thursday, we'll do the Miami game live and review. So 1, 2, 1. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Of course, the weekend will look like the weekend. Of course, Toronto plays on Saturday, blah, blah, blah. You know how that works, but I'll see you tomorrow for some Champions Cup round of 16 action and the rest of the week. That'll be awesome. I'll see you later. If you like this video, like it, share, subscribe. You know what it is. Tell your friends. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell notification once subscribe. Send super chats on the live streams. Comment on this video. Put this in playlist. Share with friends and family. All that great stuff. I will see you later. I'm Ryan and I'm out. Peace.